where the Iran's revolution is going on, because the social media is full of the revolution and the hashtags. But on the ground situation, we saw that there are pro-government's massive rallies and the protests that comes out into the streets of Tehran, but we did not see much on the Western media.
Yeah, the reason you're not going to see that on the Western media is because what Israel and the US primarily, along with their European allies, are trying to do is manufacture consent for further attacks on Iran through atrocity propaganda centered around government forces targeting protesters. Now, these were legitimate protests, but they were hijacked early on. Protests that had based on legitimate grievances, the economic situation, the inflation, economic mismanagement, of course, under the umbrella of sanctions. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the protests did not exceed 1% of the population. And as I just said, they quickly deteriorated into riots and violence. Now, the counter rallies that we saw on Monday, and even now today, you have Iran burying a lot of its martyrs, and there's very big crowds who have come out to mourn these martyrs that were killed during the violence. The counter rallies really were a decisive turning point because they showed they were historic. They disrupted this narrative, and this attempt to destabilize the country. And more importantly, what these rallies really did was not just disrupt events on the ground, but on a more important level in narrative warfare, they disrupted the narrative momentum, basically, because a huge part of what's been happening around Iran is a perception war. And, they are manufacturing the idea that the country is like, there's a revolution going on and they're on the verge of this massive anti-government uprising. So in that sense, the rallies in support of the government really functioned as counter propaganda in the most positive way possible, whether you like, this term or not. But this directly challenged the online narrative that's being aggressively pushed outside Iran, where social media is quite literally creating the illusion of a revolution and of inevitable collapse. So perception-wise, it's a very significant blow to the idea that the entire country is unified and moving in one direction, and they all want to get rid of the government, and they all want the exiled crown prince Reza Pahlavi to come back and take power.